Marcus Aurelius, the Emperor of Inner Peace. Chapter 1: The Weight of the World. He ruled the most powerful empire on earth. Legions obeyed his commands. Nations rose and fell by his word. He wore the purple robe of Caesar, but he carried a burden no soldier could see. His name was Marcus Aurelius, the last of the 5 good emperors, a philosopher king, a stoic. But before all that, he was simply a man trying to keep his soul intact in a world that demanded he give it away. From the chaos of war to the death of his children, from betrayal within the palace walls to plagues ravaging his people, Marcus Aurelius faced it all, and yet left us something more valuable than gold, more lasting than conquest. A journal, his private thoughts, a roadmap to inner stillness in a world on fire. Chapter 2: A boy with a book, not a sword. Before he became emperor, Marcus was a quiet, bookish child. He didn't seek power. He preferred philosophy, simplicity, solitude. But fate had other plans. Adopted by Emperor Antoninus Pius, groomed for leadership from a young age, Marcus grew up surrounded by duty, pressure, and the constant whisper of expectation. In that pressure, he found refuge not in politics, but in philosophy. He read Epictetus, Seneca, Heraclitus, and he took notes, always, obsessively. Those notes became the meditations, never meant for publication, just reminders to himself. To stay rational, to stay humble, to stay free, even if he ruled the world. Chapter 3: The Storm of Life. During his reign, Marcus faced a tidal wave of challenges. A brutal war along the Danube frontier, a deadly plague that killed millions, political conspiracies from his closest allies, the death of 8 of his own children, sleepless nights, endless responsibilities, crushing pressure. And yet, amidst it all, he wrote lines like, Marcus Aurelius, you have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. Or, Marcus Aurelius, if you are distressed by anything external, the pain is not due to the thing itself, but to your estimate of it, and this you have the power to revoke at any moment. How did he remain calm? He practiced daily. He meditated not to escape, but to prepare. He viewed each obstacle not as a curse, but as a test. Every hardship became a sharpening stone. Every grief, a doorway to deeper wisdom. Chapter 4: The Stoic Toolbox. Marcus didn't just write beautiful words, he lived them. Here are the Stoic tools he used, and we can too. 1. The view from above. When overwhelmed, he would imagine himself looking down from the stars. From that height, all worries, wars, insults, anxieties shrink to dust. Marcus Aurelius. Observe how ephemeral and worthless human things are. 2. Memento mori. He reminded himself daily of death. Not to be morbid, but to value life more deeply. Marcus Aurelius. Do not act as if you were going to live 10,000 years. Death hangs over you. While you live, while it is in your power, be good. 3. Amor fati, love of fate. Not merely accepting what happens, but embracing it. Even the painful, the unfair, the tragic. Marcus Aurelius. A blazing fire makes flame and brightness out of everything that is thrown into it. 4. The inner citadel. A fortress built within, one that cannot be breached by insult, loss, or pain. He called the soul a kingly stronghold, and he reminded himself. Marcus Aurelius. The soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts. Chapter 5: Leading without ego. Despite being emperor, Marcus hated flattery. He had no time for vanity. He slept on hard beds. He wore plain clothes. He wrote daily reminders not to let praise go to his head. Marcus Aurelius. Do not waste what remains of your life in speculating about others. It is not what others do or say that troubles you, but your judgment of them. He didn't pretend to be perfect. He constantly scolded himself. For snapping at others. For desiring approval. For wasting time. He knew the hardest victory wasn't over enemies, it was over the self. Chapter 6: The Greatest Battle. Toward the end of his life, Marcus grew sick, worn from battle, grief, and the weight of ruling. Yet even then, he continued to write. To himself. To the future. To us. His greatest victory was not over invaders. It was mastering his own mind. Marcus Aurelius. The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way. That sentence alone has echoed through the centuries, quoted by generals, athletes, entrepreneurs. Because it reminds us, our obstacles are not the end of the path. They are the path. Chapter 7: Love, Loss, and Letting Go. Marcus loved his children. Yet he buried most of them. He loved his wife, Faustina. Yet she was often absent, and rumors followed her. He endured this quietly, privately, never cursing the gods, never sinking into self-pity. Instead, he reminded himself. Marcus Aurelius. Everything is ephemeral. The people we love, the things we possess, even our very selves. And still, he loved. Fully. Deeply. But without clinging. He practiced what the Stoics called non-attachment, not as cold indifference, but as a fierce appreciation of what cannot be kept. To love while knowing that all things pass, this is true strength. Chapter 8: The Wisdom of Service. Despite his burdens, Marcus never gave up on his duties. He met with senators. He visited wounded soldiers. He listened to complaints. He issued justice fairly. He served. Because to Marcus, virtue wasn't an idea, it was action. Marcus Aurelius. What is your profession? Being a good person. And what does that mean? Doing your job. Treating people with dignity. Speaking truth. Being patient, even when others are not. He believed that philosophy wasn't just for study halls, it belonged in the marketplace, the courtroom, the battlefield. It belonged in daily life. Chapter 9: The Final Campaign. In his final years, Marcus led his troops through the frozen forests of Germania. A philosopher in armor. He wrote meditations in his tent, by lamplight, in the freezing cold, his body breaking down, yet his mind still sharp. His health worsened. His closest advisors urged him to rest, to return to Rome. He refused. Duty came first. He died in 180 AD, far from luxury, in the muddy north, surrounded by soldiers, not senators. No final speech. No grand farewell. Just silence. And a notebook of thoughts, written not for glory, but for guidance. Chapter 10: Legacy of a Quiet King. After Marcus Aurelius died, his writings survived. Not by force. Not by decree. But because they touched something timeless in the human heart. A reminder. That power doesn't protect you from suffering. That peace is possible, even in chaos. That the soul can remain free, even when the body is trapped. His words outlived the Roman Empire. They lived in the minds of monks during the Middle Ages. They traveled with explorers, reformers, revolutionaries. They sit on bookshelves today, read by CEOs, soldiers, students. Because the struggle is still the same. How do you live well, in a world you cannot control? Chapter 11: Practicing Marcus today. Marcus Aurelius didn't ask us to worship him. He asked us to join him. You can begin right now. Start a journal, not for likes, but for truth. Wake up each day and ask, what can I control today? End each day with reflection, not regret. Seek progress, not perfection. Choose virtue over comfort. Be of use to someone every day. And when the world seems too loud, remember his simple advice. Marcus Aurelius. Nowhere can man find a quieter or more untroubled retreat than in his own soul. Chapter 12: The Last Word. He didn't ask for statues. He didn't care for glory. He just asked us to live well, to do what is right, no matter how small, no matter how hard, and to remember that the greatest empire you'll ever rule is your own mind. So rule it wisely, with reason, with humility, with courage, just as he did. You are the emperor now. Epilogue: The Crown Within. We often search for heroes in armor, warriors with blades, kings with crowns. But Marcus Aurelius reminds us that the greatest battles are invisible. They are fought in the silence of our thoughts, in the pause before we react, in the decision to choose virtue when vice would be easier. He did not win every battle. He doubted. He feared. He suffered. And yet he showed up, every day, with dignity. That is why his words endure. Because they do not promise perfection. They promise meaning. Not in ruling empires, but in ruling ourselves. Marcus Aurelius. You could leave life right now. Let that determine what you do and say and think. It's not morbid. It's a call to wake up. To live today as if it mattered, because it does. So as you leave this story, ask yourself, can I be calm in chaos? Can I be kind in conflict? Can I be wise in uncertainty? You don't need a throne. You don't need applause. You only need the will to live like Marcus did. Simply, justly, strongly, freely. The emperor is gone, but the philosophy remains. And now, it belongs to you.